the Abscondo Podcast. Hi, and welcome to the Abscondo Podcast. I want to talk about a really important topic today. For many years, I've always been a little bit bothered when people talk about cutting off relationships, removing toxic people from your life, and all these things about finding a solution to a problem with a person or relationship or situation by cutting it off and artificially ending communication, right? I've always felt at a sort of intuitive level that when you're doing that, that's the ego choosing separation. You're trying to find a solution to things, trying to find value in cutting yourself off from your brother and sister, right? So you're being in isolation is supposedly this pure state. There are many problems with that. And by the way, I'll get back to this. I think there's some legitimacy to this, and I want to talk about how to cut people off or when to say no to something in the right way. But the problem is whenever you remove someone from your life or try to, a couple things happen. Number one, at first it feels great. At first you think you found the solution. This person's a jerk or this situation is not for me and just go away. And for a little while you get a little bit of a boost. And that's the ego boost. That's where the ego thinks it found a solution and it feels good for a very short while. What ends up happening next is that you start maybe missing something about the person or the situation, or you start feeling guilty about it. And you realize that it really wasn't such a neat solution because you still need relationships, you're lonely, you need opportunities. So maybe you're causing some amount of lack in your life by cutting people and situations out, even though the intention was to find more happiness and less stress, right? The other thing that happens whenever you close, and this is something that I learned from Michael A. Singer in his wonderful book, Untethered Soul. Whenever you close your heart or close your mind, your energy level sinks. This is what is known as depression or just basically low energy. That feeling of, energy doesn't come from the food we eat. It does somewhat, but I mean, we've all been in the situation where we've been so excited about something, maybe a new relationship or a vacation we're excited about, and we're so excited we don't even need to eat. We don't even want to eat, and yet we feel all this energy inside. So there's something else that is causing this feeling of high energy, as the spiritual people say, the high energy vibrations, right? And that's being open. The energy comes from within you. It's in the form of love or just life energy. And when you're unblocked, it naturally flows through you and from you. And when you close yourself, you get kind of low energy. You want to lay in bed and do nothing. So that's the problem with separation, is that you are closing your mind and closing your heart. You're not going to fall in love in that state. You're not going to move forward with your life, and especially when it comes to relationships or taking a chance on some new opportunities and putting your heart into what you're doing. You have to have an open heart to do that and an open mind to grow and learn. So this is just nature, the way it works. I mean, we're meant to function as living organisms that are connected to other living organisms, other human beings. Our minds are meant to be connected. We're meant in this field of reality, in this world, to be in this shared reality. Our consciousness is focused on material matter, on feelings and ideas, and it's a collaborative effort, right? This is not a dream where you're on your own in a dream. This is in the waking state on this planet. We are supposed to, collaborate and connect with other people. So whenever you say, look, I'm just going to go off and close the door and be by myself, it's important at times to do that, to rejuvenate, but not as some sort of final solution. Okay, so whenever I say this, and it's very common if you go on Instagram or go talk to your friends or wherever, people talking about, toxic relationships, right, and removing people from their lives. And there's some legitimacy to that. And I never maybe gave enough, so far I haven't given a lot of credibility or legitimacy to that idea. And when I sort of speak out about that, people come to me and say, well, what am I supposed to do? This person's a jerk. This person is abusive, right? The situation is terrible for me. I have to cut it out. And I never quite had an answer for that. It kind of bothered me as well, because I talk I always talk about and write about every day in my post. I write about being open heart, open mind, let your love flow. But for so many of us, myself included, we do have relationships that harm us, that are toxic, that you're being attacked, you're being made to feel guilty, you're being controlled and manipulated, you're not getting anything of value from it, and you're being drained of energy from that relationship. So this does exist. Now, what I realized, well, maybe just today, is that, saying yes has to be the default. So saying yes to a new relationship or an existing relationship or a new opportunity or situation, part of acceptance is to say yes by default. However, there are times when we do have to say no. And when you do say no, it's important to always do so with a lot of reluctance, with a heavy heart. Do so gently, because you're going against that basic principle of openness, of extending love. But it doesn't mean you can say yes to everything, because some things are just damaging, and some situations are just damaging to your path, to your authentic life that you're meant to live, and your path that you're walking. So, for example, if someone proposes marriage and you don't agree with the idea of marriage, and I wrote a post about that yesterday, you should say no to that proposal. Now, does it mean you should close your heart to that person and stop loving that person? No. So what is it that we're saying no to? The answer is that we are saying no to ego. Okay? So it's okay to say no, or better yet, to just simply ignore or avoid anything in this world. And the world is still filled with ego. I mean, we are still in the grip of ego, right? That's what controls the world. The world is filled with illusions of fear, with errors in what we do and what we say and what we think. And those errors which flow from ego, and I talk a lot about ego every day at Abscondo.com and on Instagram, it's okay to just completely ignore or just disengage or say no to anything of ego, whether that's an idea, an institution, a tradition, or a person. But as you do that, you're not rejecting the truth of that person or the truth of that situation. You're saying in your mind to yourself, you are saying, I love you. I love you for what's real about you, which is love, which is unconditional love, which flows from within, which is the fact that we're all the same, we're in the oneness of being. We are connected in consciousness and spirit. And as long as you can remind yourself of that and see that in the person, see beyond the ego, even in some theoretical sense, but it's not theoretical, it's true. Every person on the level of spirit, the invisible realm within, wants the same thing. We want to be loved, we want to feel safe, we want to feel good, we want to feel excited about life, we want to live fully and have our own experiences. We all want the same things deep down. But some people aren't in touch with that deep down place. And their awareness is only within the mind, or the mind believes every thought is real. The mind believes that it's separate from the universe and everything, and that's who I am, and everything that I need is about me, and you guys don't matter. This is just an error. Okay, so it's okay to say, well, no, I'm not going to kind of give that illusion or that delusion any kind of credibility or take it seriously or engage with it in any way, especially if it involves attack against me. But what I can do is I can say, yeah, no, that's not for me. But I'm open to you, like, if you want to engage in other ways, So, yeah, I'm always open. People can change. You can be honest about why you're saying no. Don't tell someone they have an ego, but you can tell someone that, this is not the way for me, and this is the way for me. And you might change someone that way. So you're saying yes to the truth. You're saying yes to what is true. And you're saying no to that which is a harmful, negative illusion. But it doesn't mean you label that person as bad, toxic. No, there is toxic behavior, which is also called ego. Okay? So separate the person from the behavior, and on some level, maintain the willingness A lot of times people, and the reason that relationships become toxic is because there's a dependency. The other reason is that somebody wants sex. Somebody's using someone else for something and they get addicted to it, and it can happen very easily. And so they manipulate and they try to use whatever tricks they can to get money, to get sex, to get, some level of so-called comfort or stability. And that's when a relationship becomes toxic. So what you need to do in that situation is remove that cancer from the relationship. So if you have that dependency and that's becoming a problem, it's like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not closed to you as a person. I love you as a person. But this isn't working. This situation, this dependency, this manipulation, these games, this isn't working for me. So if you want to communicate with me in a way that doesn't involve any of this, I'm open. No, I will not be here for, I'm not living with you, for example, to, be taken advantage of whenever you feel like it and be kicked around. But I'm still open to you, and I still know that you're a good person deep down, and there's love in you, and there's truth in you just like there is in me. Okay, so that's how you remove a toxic situation. You look at the problem, remove that, and then embrace the person or embrace the truth of the situation. Don't run from situations or people, right? Confront them with the truth. And if you have spiritually awakened, you know what that is. And you'll find the words and the ways of expressing it. I'll leave you with an Abscondo song called Morning Rain. And this is from the Midnight Snow album, which you can find on wherever you normally listen to digital music. I hope you enjoyed the podcast, and please check back every week or so for more episodes. Thank you.
Within your dreams, you'd stay for a while. The holiday of the rank and file. But 1 foot on the floor and then 2, the morning rain to suit your mood. And if they just go away for a while, you could get on with your life and maybe even smile. But that's not what they'd give you in return for all you do. You want more, you shuffle through the door in the morning rain. You just don't care anymore. Yeah, you're bored, but that's the start of it. The problem is that you just don't give a shit. To fit their mold, you change your style. If not your soul, who will take your smile? You may not see how much the change in you. You once were free to dream and do. But you want more, you shuffle through the door in the morning rain, but you just don't care anymore. Yeah, you're bored, but that's the start of it. The problem is that you just don't give a shit. And if your world don't change in a while, then just pack up your bags and baby leave in style. 'Cause after all this, it's still me and you, and that won't change. What will you do?